Greetings everyone. For today, we will be reporting the Worksheet 6 entitled The Nervous System and the Special Senses.
Hello everyone, my name is Andrew Luis Alfafara and I will be presenting neuron anatomy and physiology. Number 1. The cellular unit of nervous system is the neuron. What is the major function of this cell type? Our answer is to generate neural impulses to help control organs and organ system. Number 2. Supporting cells or neuroglia have numerous functions. Name 3. Protect neurons, act as phagocytes, act as selective barrier between blood and neuron. Number 3. Match each statement with a response chosen from the key. Number 1. The brain and spinal cord collectively. Central nervous system. Number 2. A tiny gap that separates two neurons. Synaptic cleft. Number 3. A collection of nerve cells cell body found outside the central nervous system. Ganglion. Number 4. Neuron connecting sensory and motor neurons. Interneuron. Neuron process running through the CNS tract. Number 6. Collection of nerve cell body inside the CNS. Nuclei. Number 7. Neuron that conduct impulses away from the CNS to muscle and glands. Affect neuron. Number 8. Neuron that conducts impulses towards the CNS from the body periphery. Afferent neuron. Number 9. Chemical released by axon terminals. Neurotransmitters. Number 10. Specialized supporting cell of the nervous system. Neuroglia. Number 4. Draw a typical neuron in the space below. Include and label the following structure on your diagram. Cell body, nucleus, dendrites, axon terminals, myelin, sheath, and nodes of Renvier. Number 5. How is one-way conduction at synapses ensured? Neurons have only one axon that carries impulses away from the nerve cell body towards the synapse. Number 6. What anatomical characteristic determines whether a particular neuron is classified as unipolar, bipolar, or multipolar? The way the axon or axons and dendrites emerge from the soma or cell body. Number 7. Describe how the Schwann cell form myelin sheath and the neuralema encasing an axon. The Schwann cell wrap themselves tightly around the axon like a jelly roll. During the wrapping process, the cytoplasm is squeezed from between adjacent layer of the Schwann cell membrane, so that when the process is complete, a tight core of plasma membrane material encompasses the axon. This wrapping is the myelin sheath. The Schwann cell nucleus and the bulk of its cytoplasm end up just beneath the outermost portion of its plasma membrane. This peripheral part of the Schwann cell and its exposed plasma membrane is the neuralema. Number 8. Correctly identify the sensory afferent neuron, interneuron, and motor neuron in the figure below. Which of these neuron types is or are unipolar? Our answer is sensory neuron. Which is the most likely multipolar? Our answer is motor neuron. Number 9. What is the nerve a collection of individual axons from various neurons. Number 10. State the location of each of the following connective tissue coverings. Neurium surrounds individual axons. Perineurium surround bundle of axons to form fascicles. Epineurium surround bundle of fascicles. Number 11. What is the value of the connective tissue wrapping found in a nerve? Provide insulation for axon for cleaner conduction of signal. Next presenter, please.
Hey everyone, I am Riva the Algabre. I will be reporting the nerve impulse. Number 13. Match each of the terms in the column B to the appropriate definition in column A. Number 1. Reversal of the resting potential resulting from an influx of sodium ions. Our answer is depolarization. Number 2. Period during which potassium ions are diffusing out of the neuron. Our answer is repolarization. Number 3. Transmission of the polarization wave along the neuronal membrane. Our answer is action potential. Number 4. Mechanism that restores the resting membrane voltage and intracellular ionic concentration. Our answer is sodium-potassium pump. 14. Would a substance that decreases membrane permeability to sodium increase or decrease the probability of generating a nerve impulse? Our answer is it would decrease the probability of generating a nerve impulse. 15. Why don't the terms depolarization and action potential mean the same thing? Our answer is depolarization. Reduction of negative membrane potential may only be a short-lived event if the change in the membrane is sub-threshold. When an action potential occurs, there is a large reversal of the membrane polarity that occurs when the membrane depolarizes to threshold. And this is Riva Algabre. I will be reporting the gross anatomy of the brain and cranial nerves. The human brain. Number 1. In which of the cerebral lobes, frontal, parietal, occipital, or temporal, would the following functional areas be found? Auditory area, temporal. Primary motor area, frontal. Somatic sensory area, parietal. Olfactory area, temporal. Visual area, occipital. Broca's area, frontal. Number 2. Match the letters on the diagram of the brain. Right lateral view to the appropriate terms listed at the left. Number 1. Frontal lobe. Our answer is letter H. Number 2. Parietal lobe. Our answer is letter B. Number 3. Temporal lobe. Our answer is letter J. Number 4. Letter F. Number 5. Letter C. Number 6. Letter A. Number 7. Letter I. Number 8. Letter G. Number 9. Letter E. Number 10. Letter L. Number 11. Letter D. And number 12. Letter K. Number 3. Which of the following structure are not part of the brain stem? Our answer is cerebral hemisphere and cerebellum. Number 4. Complete the following statements by writing the proper word or phrase in the corresponding blank at the right. Our answer is gyrus, sulci, fissures, neuron cell bodies, bundles of axons, commissural tracts, projection tracts, basal nuclei. Number 5. Identify the structure on the following sagittal view of the human brain by matching the lettered areas to the proper terms at the left. Number 1, letter P. Number 2, letter M. Number 3, letter A. Number 4, letter L. Number 5, letter H. Number 6, letter K. Number 7, letter B. Number 8, letter N. Number 9, letter D. Number 10, letter F. Number 11, letter C. Number 12, letter Q. Number 13, letter E. Number 14, letter J. Number 15, Number 6, using the anatomical terms from item 5, match the appropriate structure with the following description. Number 1, our answer is hypothalamus. Number 2 is corpora quadrigemina. Number 3 is cerebellum. Number 4 is medulla oblongata. And number 5, corpus callosum. Number 6 is pituitary gland. Number 14, letter J. Number 15, letter G. Number 16 is letter O. Number 17 is letter I. 7 is cerebral aqueduct. And number 8 is thalamus.
Hello everyone, this is Bea Angelika, Alava, and I'm gonna be reporting the number 7 to 12 human brain. So number 7, Explain why trauma to the base of the brain is often much more dangerous than trauma to frontal lobes. Hint: think about the relative function of the cerebral hemisphere and the brainstem structures, which contain centers more vital to life. Our answer is trauma to the base of the brain can damage or sever the brain's connection to the spinal column, also damaging or destroying the parts of the brain at the bases of the brain, causing paralysis or even death. Trauma to the frontal lobes can bring about loss of self-determination and violent tendencies, as the lobotomies performed on those persons considered criminally insane or violent and a danger to themselves or the public. Number 8. Identify the meningeal or associated structures described below. Number 1. Outermost layer top fibrous connective tissue, the dura mater. Number 2. Innermost vascular layer covering the brain follows every convolution, the pia mater. Number 3. Drains cerebrospinal fluid into the venous blood in the dural venous cyanosis, the arachnoid villus. Number 4. Structure that forms the cerebrospinal fluid, the chronoid plexus. Number 5. Middle layer, delicate with cottony fibers, the arachnoid mater. Number 6. A dorsal fold that attaches the cerebrum to the crista galli of the skull, the flux cerebri. Number 9. Fill in the following flowchart to indicate the path of cerebrospinal fluid from its formation site. Assume that this is one of the lateral ventricles to where it is reabsorbed into the venous blood. Lateral ventricle to the third ventricle, to the cerebral aqueduct, to the fourth ventricle, to the central canal of spinal cord, to the subarachnoid space, surrounded the brain and cord and central canal of the cord, to the arachnoid villi, to the superior sagittal sinus containing venous blood. Number 10. On the accompanying diagram, label correctly the structures involved with circulation of the cerebrospinal fluid. These structures are identified by leader lines. The first line is the lateral ventricle. The second line is the third ventricle. The third line is the cerebral aqueduct. The fourth line is the fourth ventricle, and the last line is the median and lateral aperture. Number 11. Using the following terms, correctly identify all structures indicated by leader lines on the diagram. So the first line, which is in the upper middle, is the longitudinal fissure. And let me first discuss the names of the left side of the brain. The frontal lobe of the cerebral hemisphere, the pituitary gland, the temporal lobe of the cerebral hemisphere, the mammillary body, the cerebral peduncle, the pons, the cerebellum, the medulla oblongata, and the middle lower part of the brain is the spinal cord. And on the other side of the brain are the olfactory bulb, optic nerve, optic chiasma, optic tract, oculomotor nerve, trochlear nerve, trigeminal nerve, abducens nerve, facial nerve, vestibulocular nerve, glossopharyngeal nerve, vagus nerve, accessory nerve, and the hypoglossal nerve. Number 12. Using choices from the K, provide the name and number of the cranial nerves involved in each of the following activities, sensations, or disorders. Number 1. Smelling a flower. Our answer is olfactory. Number 2. Slowing the heart. Our answer is vagus. Number 3, chewing food. Our answer is trigeminal. Number 4, reading the newspaper. Our answer is optic. Number 5, feeling a toothache. Our answer is trigeminal. Number 6, tasting well-seasoned food. Our answer is facial. Number 7, listening to music. Our answer is vestibulonuclear. Number 8, rotating the head. Our answer is accessory. Number 9, raising the eyelids. Our answer is oculomotor. Hello, this is Bea Angelika again, and I am gonna be reporting the 1 to 4 spinal cord and spinal nerves. So number 1, complete the following statements by inserting the proper anatomical terms in the answer blanks. The superior boundary of the spinal cord is at the level of the foramen magnum of the skull, and its inferior boundary is at the level of vertebra L2. The collection of spinal nerves traveling in the vertebral canal below the terminus of the spinal cord is called the cauda equina. Number 2, using the terms below, correctly identify on the diagram all structures I provided with letter lines. The middle line is the central canal, and the left side are the dorsal root of spinal nerve, the ventral horn, pia mater, arachnoid mater, and dura mater, and the right side are the white mater, dorsal horn, lateral horn, ventral root of spinal nerve, ventral ramus of spinal nerve, dorsal root, ganglion, and the dorsal ramus of spinal nerve. Number 3. The spinal cord is enlarged in two regions, the cervical and the lumbar regions. So what is the significance of these enlargements? Because the spinal cord is not that thick, but all the nerves that branch out of the body have to fit in these areas. Number 4. In the human, there are 31 pairs of spinal nerves named according to the region of the vertebral column where they originated. The spinal nerves are named below. Note by number the vertebral level at which they emerge. Cervical nerves is 8, the lumbar is 5, the sacral is 5, and the thoracic is 12. So this is the end of my reporting. God bless and thank you.
The ventral rami of spinal nerves C1 through T1 and T12 through S4 form plexus, which serve the motor and sensory need of a muscle and skin of the limbs of the body. The ventral rami of T2 through T12 run between the ribs to serve the intercostal nerve. The dorsal rami of the spinal nerves serve the skin and musculature of the posterior body trunk. What would happen if the following structures were damaged or transected? Loss of sensory or motor function or both. Dorsal root of a spinal nerve, loss of sensory function. Ventral root of a spinal nerve, loss of motor function. Ventral ramus of a spinal nerve, loss of both motor and sensory function. Define plexus, a network of anastomosing or interlacing blood vessels or nerves. Name the major nerves that serve the following body areas: deltoid muscle, axillary nerve, diaphragm, phrenic nerve, posterior thigh, posterior femoral, cutaneous nerve, lateral leg and foot, tibial nerve and common tubular nerve, flexor muscles of forearm and some hands muscle, median nerve, flexor muscles of arm, musculocutaneous nerve, lower abdomen and anterior thigh, femoral nerve, triceps muscle, radial nerve, posterior leg and foot, sciatic nerve. Human reflex physiology. The reflex arc. Define reflex is an involuntary and nearly instantaneous movement in response to a stimulus. 2. Name the 5 essential components of a reflex arc: receptor, sensory neuron, integration center, motor neuron, effector target. In general, what is the importance of reflex testing in a routine physical examination? Reflex testing is an important diagnostic tool for assessing the condition of the nervous system. Distorted, exaggerated, or absent reflex response may indicate degeneration or pathology of portions of the nervous system, often before other signs are apparent. Somatic and autonomic reflexes. Use the key terms to complete the statements given below. Corneal reflex, patellar reflex, plantar reflex, Achilles reflex, patellar and Achilles reflex, plantar reflex, pupillary light reflex. Number 5. Name 2 cord-mediated reflexes: Achilles, plantar. Number 6. Trace the reflex arc, naming efferent and afferent nerves, receptors, effectors, and integration centers for the following reflexes: patellar reflex, calcaneal tendon reflex, patellar ligament, quadriceps, femoral nerve, spinal cord, femoral nerve, quadriceps, calcaneal tendon, gastrocnemius, tibial nerve, spinal cord, tibial nerve, gastrocnemius. Number 7. What was the effect of muscle fatigue on your ability to produce the patellar reflex? The intensity of the response was less. Number 8. The pupillary light reflex and the corneal reflex illustrate the purposeful nature of reflex activity. Describe the protective aspect of each. Pupillary light reflex, to protect and help control the eyes from the damage of different lights. Corneal reflex, to protect the eyes from the foreign bodies and lights. Number 9. Was the pupillary consensual reflex a contralateral or an ipsilateral response? Contralateral. Why would such a response be a significant value in this particular reflex? Usually, if a light source is intense, both eyes are illuminated. Number 10. Differentiate between the types of effectors used by the somatic and autonomic reflexes and the types of activities accomplished by somatic and autonomic reflexes. Somatic responses are solely based on skeletal muscle contraction. The autonomic system, however, targets cardiac and smooth muscle, as well as glandular tissue. Somatic reflexes include all pathways that are voluntary actions of our body, while the autonomic reflexes include all pathways that result in involuntary actions. Age, fatigue, and illness.
Hello everyone, I am Abegail, Allado, and I am going to report about the special senses, the eye and vision anatomy. Number 1. Several accessory eye structure contributes to the formation of tears and or help lubricate eyeballs. Match the described accessory structure with their secretion by choosing answer from the key. Number 1. Conjunctiva, mucus. Number 2. Tarsal glands, oil. Number 3. Lacrimal glands, salt solution. Number 2. The eyeball is wrapped in adipose tissue within the orbit. What is the function of adipose tissue? Protects the eyeball from outer environment and work as a cushion for the eyeball. Number 3. Why may it be necessary to blow one's nose after crying? Our eyes have small duct on its inner corner in the lower eyelid near the nose. This is called lacrimal duct, and it carries away the lubricating fluid, tears, from eyes into the nose. Normally, tears are a very small quantity which simply disappear inside the nose. But when we cry, large amount of tears are produced which land up inside the nose through the lacrimal ducts, and it gives our nose a flooded sensation. Hence, we need to blow our nose after we cry. Number 4. What is a stye? A very common type of infection of the eyelid. What is conjunctivitis? Refers to any inflammatory condition of the membrane that lines the eyelids and covers the exposed surface of the sclera. Number 5. Which 7 bones form the bony orbit? Frontal, sphenoid, palatine, ethmoid, zygomatic, lacrimal, and maxilla. Next is number 6. Identify the lettered structure on the diagram by matching each letter with one of the terms listed below. Number 1 is K, anterior segment, containing aqueous humor. Number 2, P, bipolar cells. Number 3 is J, ciliary body. Number 4 is D, ciliary zonule, suspensory ligament. 5 is G, choroid. 6 is A, cornea. 7 is M, fover centralis. Number 8 is O, ganglion cell. Number 9, L, iris. Number 10 is B, lens. Number 11, N, optic disc. Number 12, I, optic nerve. Number 13 is Q, photoreceptors. Number 14, H, retina. 15, F, sclera. 16, C, scleral venosinus. Number 17 is E, vitreous humor in posterior segment. Notice the arrows draw close to the left side of the iris in the diagram. What do they indicate? Drainage of aqueous humor that flows to the scleral venosinus. Next is number 7. Match the key response with the descriptive statement of that follow. Number 1. Attach the lens to the ciliary body. Our answer is ciliary zonule or suspensory ligament. Number 2. Fluid filling the anterior segment of the eye. Aqueous humor. Number 3. The blind spot, optic disc. Number 4. Contains muscle that controls the size of pupil. Iris. Number 5. Drains the aqueous humor from the eye. Scleral venosinus. Number 6. Layer containing rods and cones. Retina. Number 7. Substance occupying the posterior segment of the eyeball. Vitreous humor. Number 8. Forms most of the pigmented vascular layer. choroid. Number 9. Tiny pit contains only cones. Fover centralis. Number 10. Important light bending structure of the eye. Shape can be modified. Lens. Number 11. Anterior transparent part of the fibrous layer. Your window on the world. Cornea. Number 12. The white of the eye. Sclera. Number 8. The intrinsic eye muscle are under the control of which of the following? Our answer is autonomic nervous system. Next is visual test and experiments. Number 11. Use term from the key to complete the statement concerning near and distant vision. During distance vision, the ciliary muscle is relaxed. The ciliary zonal suspensory ligament is taut. The convexity of the lens is contracted and light refraction is decreased. During close vision, the ciliary muscle is contracted. The ciliary zonal suspensory ligament is lax. Lens convexity is increased and light refraction is increased. Number 12. Explain why the part of the image hitting the blind spot is not seen. Our answer is there are no rods or cones. Next, number 13. Match the term in column B with the descriptions in column A. Number 1. Light bending. Refraction. Number 2. Ability to focus for close under 20 feet vision. Accommodation. Number 3. Normal vision. Emmetropia. Number 4. Inability to focus well on close object. Farsightedness. Hyperopia. Number 5. Nearsightedness. Myopia. Number 6. Blurred vision due to unequal curvatures of the lens or cornea. Astigmatism. Number 7. Medial movement of the eye during focusing on close object. Convergence. Next is the ear and hearing and balance anatomy. Number 20. Select the terms from column B that apply to the column A description. Number 1. Collectively called the auditory ossicles. Number 1 is anvil, incus, hammer, malleus, stirrup, stapes. Number 2. Ear structure in bulb which balance. Our answer is cochlea, semicellular canals, vestibule, tympanic membrane. Number 3. Transmit sound vibration to the ossicles. Our answer is tympanic membrane. Number 4 is 3 cellular passages, each in a different plane of space. Our answer is semicircular canals. Number 5. Transmit the vibratory motion of the stirrup to the fluid in the inner ear. Oval window. Number 6. Passage between the throat and the tympanic cavity. Our answer is pharyngotympanic auditory tube. Number 7. Fluid contained with the membranous labyrinth. Endolymph. Number 8. Involve the equalizing pressure in the middle ear with atmospheric pressure. Our answer is pharyngotympanic auditory tube. That's all for my part. Next reporter, please.
Greetings everyone, I am Lloyd Bagaan and I will be presenting today the parts of the ear. So, let us first proceed to the outer ear. We have the pinna and the external acoustic meatus. The outer ear, the tympanic membrane, the stirrup, the anvil, the malleus, or also called the hammer, and the auditory ossicles, auditory tube, round window, cochlea, oval window, vestibule, locochlear nerve, vestibule, semicircular canals, and the inner ear. Proceeding to the next items, we have the cochlear duct contains the spinal organ of Corti, saccule, and utricle is the site of the maculae. The basilar membrane are the hair cells of the spinal organ of Corti rest on this membrane. The tectorial membrane is the gel-like membrane overlying the hair cells of the spinal organ of Corti. The ampulla, the saccule, and utricle are the which contains the crista ampullaris. Number 6, we have the ampulla, copula, otoliths, semicircular ducts are the functions in static equilibrium. Number 7, we have the vestibular nerves which functions in dynamic equilibrium. Number 8, the cochlear nerve carries auditory information to the brain. The cupula is a gelatinous cup overlying hair cells of the crista ampullaris. We have then number 10, the otoliths, which are grains of calcium carbonate in the maculae. Proceeding to the next questions, we have describe how sounds of different frequency are differentiated in the cochlea. The frequency is differentiated by the length and tension of the basilar membrane. Next is that the role of the endolymph of the semilunar canals in activating receptors during angular motion. When angular motion occurs in one direction, the endolymph in a semicircular canal lags behind, pushing the cupula in a direction opposite to that of the angular motion. Depending on the ear, this depolarizes and hyperpolarizes the hair cells, resulting in enhanced or reduced impulses to the brain. The role of otoliths in perception of static equilibrium is that when the head moves, the otoliths move in response to variation in gravitational pull. As they deflect different hair cells, they trigger hypolarization or depolarization of the hair cells and modify the rate of impulse transmission along the vestibular nerve. Next, questions are the cellular makeup and location of olfactory epithelium. A 1-inch square area on the foot of the nasal cavity on each side of nasal septum. Receptor cells, also called as the bipolar neurons, surrounded by supporting cells. Next is that what are the 3 parts where receptors of taste are found and circle the predominant site? We have the papillae, the palate, and the pharynx, and the predominant site is the papillae. Describe cellular makeup and formation of taste buds. The cellular makeup of taste buds consists of 3 major types of specialized epithelial cells: the gustatory cells, basal cells, and supporting cells. Next is that taste and smell receptors are both classified as chemoreceptors because they both respond to chemicals in a solution. Why is it impossible to taste substances if the tongue is dry? Because in order to taste the food must be dissolved into chemicals by the saliva so that it can be detected by receptors in the taste buds. Next are what are the factors that influence appreciation of food? We have three: the taste, the texture, and the smell. For taste, with a sense of taste, it utilizes the response given by the taste buds like sweet, sour, salty, and bitter. In terms for texture, it is the different sensation that we feel when we are eating. And smell, smell gives a pre-identification whether something is appetizing, and it provides perspective before tasting a food. Expand on your explanation and choices by explaining why a cold, greasy hamburger is unappetizing to most people. From the perspective of the factors affecting food appreciation, cold foods does not stimulate the sense of smell. In terms of taste and texture, the cold do not entice the taste buds with intense flavors, and the flat fats become greasy, making it unappetizing. Next is that how palatable is food when you have cold? Explain. So, it is difficult to experience and distinguish flavors when you have cold, since our sense of smell is related to our taste. When we have colds, our nose are blocked with mucus, causing inflammation in the canals, thus blocking nerve impulses affecting its normal function to taste and smell. So that's it for my report. Let us proceed to the last part of this worksheet 6, a nervous and special sentence. Let us now move to the deep dive presented by Miss Patricia.